Good evening, everyone. This is Anthony Lamble, and today I'm going to speak about why you should adopt pets rather than purchase them from a pet store or from a breeder that you know, or the AKC. I have three main points. It's going to speak about humanitarianism, the value that you get from a pet in comparison to a pet store pet or rescue pet, and the quality of the family member you're bringing into your home. So to begin with humanitarianism, animals die in shelters every day. All right, that's just an honest fact. Without people rescuing them from those shelters and adopting them into their own homes, eventually those animals are going to either get put back out on the street or unfortunately euthanized. There's just no other way around it. We don't have enough facilities to facilitate as many animals as there are out in the streets today. There's nowhere to put them, really. So when you adopt a pet, that's keeping an animal from being euthanized. So that's a really big thing to have in your mind when you're shopping for pets. It also takes business away from puppy mills and breeders. If you didn't know what a puppy mills is, it's a type of backyard breeder whom has two, or not necessarily two, has a selection of breeding dogs, and all they do is run those dogs litter after litter after litter after litter until they die. So it's really inhumane. There's not a whole lot of regulation on it because, if you live out in the country like a lot of us do in Arkansas, it's not necessarily like a police officer going to come to your house and check what you're doing with your dogs. So when you adopt a pet, hopefully this is pushing to put these puppy mill breeders out of business. So you're giving a better life to those animals who otherwise are just going to get cyclically impregnated and then eventually die, which is really terrible. It takes more animals off the streets, all right? So when you take an animal from a shelter and you adopt it, obviously that's gonna open up a room, a stay, a bed for another pet that's on the street. So when you adopt a pet, that's just making sure that another animal has somewhere to stay, something to eat, climate-controlled environment before it gets adopted. So all of those things happen just from simply you adopting a pet rather than buying one from a pet store. And the thing about rescuing a pet is the same value as buying one from a breeder, even better. If you didn't know, buying a rescue dog is significantly cheaper from a dog that's been bred or in a pet store. So generally, bred dogs usually, or purebred dogs, range between $500 all the way up to $2,500 just for one puppy. Well, I'm specifically going to talk dogs right now. So yes, for a dog, $500 to $2,500. That's an intense amount of money. All right. When you're purchasing a rescued animal, generally the fees range from $75 to $150. Okay. So even at the lowest price you could get for a bred dog, $500, that's greater than 50% or less than 50% of the cost, which is amazing. So that saves your pocket. With that extra money, you could buy extra toys and beds and stuff you need prepared for that animal. The animals you get from a rescue are already spayed or neutered. So I've never been to a facility where they didn't spay or neuter their animals before they rescue them back out or before they adopted them back out. So that's another cost that can run you, like I said, between $50 and $200 just for that procedure. And what spaying and neutering your dog does is keeps that animal from making more puppies that in turn either be stray animals if you can't find homes for them all, or go back into a rescue or into the pound and get euthanized. So therefore, when these organizations spay or neuter these animals, it's helping the cause to keep animals off the streets. They're also up to date on their vaccines. So if you've never had a pet before, vaccines and vet visits just for the initial shots usually range from $150 to $200. So just the visits are generally $75 to $80 a piece, but when you add all those shots in, it becomes pretty expensive. So just right there, with that $150 savings in vaccines, $150 savings in neuter spay costs, and at least $250 savings in buying from a breeder costs, you're looking at $550 right there that you've put back in your pocket, or that you didn't have to shell out just because you rescued a dog from a shelter and saved his life. These pets are just as good a quality pet as you get from a breeder. So mixed breeds, it has been proven that mixed breeds have less health issues. So purebred dogs, a lot of the time, they have litters, so therefore a brother and a sister or a close related litter mate ends up breeding with a dog, therefore causing a lot of health issues. Repetitive breeding, cycle after cycle, creates large health issues for bred dogs, like heart issues generally, or joint issues, or stomach twisting where their intestines would flip upside down in their abdominal cavity, which is really awful. So when you buy a rescue dog or bring it to your home, they're generally mixed breeds, so therefore they have a lot less health issues. They give you the same love and companionship as a bred dog, all right? A dog is a dog. I don't know if everybody feels that view on me, or that has that same view, but to me, a pet is a pet. So you're going to get just as much love and just as much friendship and happiness from your $75 pound puppy than you would get from a $2,000 Cane Corso or a $1,000 Golden Retriever. They're going to give you that same affection. So why not? And occasionally, you do find purebreds in shelters. So if that's really what you're looking for, you're dead set, I'm not going to get an animal unless it's purebred. Just the other day, Little Rock Animal Village, which is the animal control in Little Rock, that also is a shelter, they had a Neapolitan Mastiff in there. Okay, his adoption fee was like $100. Therefore, if you know how much a Neapolitan Mastiff is, if you didn't know, a purebred Neapolitan Mastiff, which is what he was approximately, they go for around $1,500. So he was a year old, which is still very young. Unfortunately, he was very malnourished. But if I were to get the animal, I couldn't because my wife, I would have been saving $1,400 just from adopting him rather than from buying from a breeder. So there are so many reasons why you should adopt rather than buy from a breeder. But just to name a few is humanitarianism. The value you get from the pet is outstanding. Saves you so much more money. And the quality of a pet is just as good as getting a purebred animal. So think about those the next time you think about adding an additional family member to your home. Thank you so much for listening.